Alright, this is lesson 2.3. It's on the percent proportion. What you're looking at here is two different versions of the exact same proportion. Is over of equals percent over 100. That's a really nice way of remembering it if it's already in the wording. What percent of 90 is 9? What number is 2% of 35? Those are in that wording that's ready for is of. But the second one is, if it's in a story problem, we need to understand what is and of mean. That of means the whole, and the is the part. Okay? The is the part, and the of is the whole. And if you think about it, there's a connection here. We always talk about those special connections. The whole is 100%. The part is the percent that we're talking about. Now, you have to be careful. Don't make the mistake of thinking that the part is always the small and the whole is always the big. It is a lot of times, but is it possible to have over 100% of something? And the answer is yes. So is it possible that your part is actually larger than your whole? Yes. So make sure you're not just saying little, big. That's not what we're saying. We're saying is, of, or part, whole. All right, so we're going to try to set these up and take time and just look at a couple with is, of. What percent of 90 is 9? Let me set that up as a proportion. Starting with a blank one. You already know the 100 because we're dealing with a percent problem. Now, do we always put 100 in it? No, only when we're dealing with a percent. There's the hint that it's a percent problem. Okay? What percent? In other words, I don't know the percent. I'm going to put a variable in there. What percent of 90? They just identified that 90 is the whole. What percent of 90 is 9? We have set up a proportion. We're ready to multiply 9 times 100 and then divide it by 90, and you're going to get 10. What percent? Well, that means it is 10%. What percent of 90 is 9? 10%. All right, let's try it again. Number 2. What number is 2% of 35? Hey, this is just one of those 2% of 35s like we did in a previous lesson. Let's estimate it first. Actually, let's just do it with that, and we'll check our answer with the proportion. 1%. Do you remember 1% is moving the decimal 2 places? We're at 0.35. That'd be 1%. I'd have to double that to be 2%. So 0.35 plus 0.35, or 0.35 times 2, is 0.7. But let me set that up. What number is, in other words, I don't know the part, 2%. We already know the 100 is on the bottom. There's my 2%. Sorry, I'm dropping that out there. Of 35. They're telling me 35 is my whole. So now let me read it to you. What number is 2% of 35? Well, 35 is 100%. We're about ready to find out what the 2% is. Once again, multiply the diagonals, divide by the other one. We do that because the cross products are equal, right? And guess what you get? 0.7. So 0.7 is 2% of 35. Let's try it again. Number 3. 62 is 90.5% of what number? All right, go back to our proportion. We already know the 100. 62 is, they're telling me 62 is the part, 90.5%. We know it's 90.5% of some number that we don't know. So I'm going to put that W in there. And once again, we're ready to multiply and divide. And when we multiply and divide that, you're going to get 68.5. And so 68.5 is the total. I had 62 of it, which was 90.5%. So I want to do one more problem that always seems to kind of mess people up if you're not really aware of percents. After an 8% sales tax was added, make sure you understand that we have an addition problem in here. The item cost $47.52. How much did the item cost before tax? So here's what a lot of people will do. They recognize it as a percent problem because it had the word percent in it, right? And they start going through it and they say, okay, well, $47.52 must be my total. And I want to find 8% of it, 8% of $47.52. But that's not what it says. We're not looking for 8% of $47.52. We're saying after an 8% sales tax was added, we got to 47.52. Well, somebody will say, well, so you just want me to put this 47.52 on top. But are you saying that $47.52 is 8% of some number? No. We need to understand that that was added on to the total. So we already had 100% that we paid for the price, and now we have 8%. And if you'll use those labels, once again, I would notice that this is my tax. Guess what? This is not my tax. So somehow that 8 does not have a label that's going to be in our final proportion. So let me set that up again. I don't want 8%, I want 8% more than 100%, because I have to pay for the item and the tax, so I'm going to add those two together. Notice the word added. They added 8% onto the 100%, now we're at 108%, and that final price, 108%, was $47.52. Seems like the whole, but it's actually the part, even though the part is larger than the whole. So when we multiply and divide, we'll be finding out what the original price was, the 100% price. And you do that and you get 44. This was a $44 item before they added 8% sales tax. So let me draw you a picture of that. There was a $44 item. They found out what 8% of it was, roughly that much, and then they added it on. So you still have to pay for the 100%, the $44, and you're paying for the extra tax, and that's how they came up with that $47.52. And that's how we know it was not the 8%, and it wasn't the 100%, it was the 108%.